All right. Well, listen, let's talk about Tesla specific. We got Tesla specific today. I think the biggest news of the day is Optimus.
Hmm.
We had Morgan Stanley, I think it was Morgan Stanley reporting on a
Yeah.
investor meeting where they made some announcements with regard to the future, in particular with regard to Optimus.
Yes. So I have that post
Okay.
by the ever reliable Sawyer Merritt,
Oh, you're
who
yeah.
transmitted the Morgan Stanley new Tesla note. So it came from a meeting that Tesla had with Wall Street analysts, including investor relations head Travis Axelrod. So Tesla wants to offer investors tours of a low-scale manufacturing for Optimus by Q4 2025. So I think that's referring to the 1,000 per month line that they have. Oh, and there's a
Okay.
follow-up note to this where this note says that, or the summary of the note says that they're currently at 1,000 per month capacity in Optimus is wrong. They're still many months away from that.
Oh,
So many
whoops.
months.
Wait a minute. I'm confused then. All right. So Larry and I had kind of taken a look at this, and they had said that they were at 12, they were making 12 simultaneously.
Mhm.
Then they said that they were going to do the thousand a month, but you're saying there's a new note. And so can we,
No, no, no. Elon replied.
I'm sorry, Elon
Elon
replied,
replied to this and said that the 1,000 per month production capacity is still many months away.
many months away. Interesting.
Right, right. Which to me aligns with the Q4. Q4, October is many
Right,
months away, right?
right, right,
June, July, August, September, October, either 5 months away would be October, 5 months would be Q4,
right,
right?
right.
So I
Okay.
think that the line, if they didn't pull back, they didn't want to give investors tours of an Optimus production, right?
Mhm.
So you would presumably do that when you're 1,000 per month line
Right.
versus
Is
whatever
it up and
customization.
up and running well? Yes. Okay.
Right, right,
All
right.
right.
Not necessarily running, just running.
Right.
It's built, it's ready to go. They showed off, right? So to me, those things, two things align. That Q4 would be when they would have their 1,000 per month production.
I see.
Uh,
Okay. All right.
but then Q4 is the big thing. It's just like June to us is big. June to 1 to 30 for Robotaxi.
Yeah. Yeah.
October 1st to December 31st is, a big wide range.
Right.
If you're going to get thousands made this year, you would have to at least start it, late October in
Right.
order to get, a couple thousand,
Right.
right?
Okay. And so then they would go from there to their 10,000 a month and then to
100,000, yes.
generation three to 100,000 a month, which is kind of what we've been anticipating. All right.
Right,
So,
right.
so interesting. I wonder if they only start building 1,000 a month in, you know, let's say whether it's October or September, whatever, they start building
Yeah.
1,000 a month. I wonder how long they would use that 1,000 a month line before they would switch over to the 10,000 a month line because they had talked about getting to 50,000 in 2026.
Fixed, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
right. So again, it would need to be about mid-year before
yeah.
if you do 10,000 a
In
month,
order to make that
then
happen.
yeah, 50,000 weeks.
Yeah,
But then you could always not make it. Like they were
yeah,
also
yeah.
initially kind of hoping to get 10,000,
Right,
and now we're, kind of hoping to get 2,000,
right,
right?
right.
So, these early teething things and not hitting production goals is to be expected,
Okay. All right. Okay.
right?
Um,
Next.
so so
Mhm.
then so then again, I don't think that would have impacted the market to have Elon come back and confer or to, you know, make a third correction because there was a second correction which said that they were at 1,000 capacity, and then Elon comes back and says they're not. So I doubt if
Right.
any of that impacted the stock today. I don't think it did. Um,
No, no.
but
Mm.
in general, in general it's good news, but a
Right,
lot of back and forth. All right.
right. Next one was that Tesla's still on track to launch robotaxi service in Austin. Initial fleet of 1020 cars will be invite only at first. So invite only takes care of, we talked about, lines and people doing that. Now it's like you don't get the invite, it's kind of somewhat like the cyber cab, whatever day
Well, so
at
what it's
the
like, Brad, it's like Uber.
Right.
That's how Uber starts in every city.
Okay.
They did it, and then Waymo too, I think. I think maybe Waymo did as well, is they do
Mhm.
it by invite only in the beginning.
Okay.
In fact,
Yeah.
I'm going to reverse my statement. I know Waymo does it that way. I think Uber did.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense that they can
Yeah.
now control it by doing
Yeah.
it by invite only. Okay.
Right. And then that that removes any other restrictions and stuff. So, but they still need to scale because they're talking about scaling, and the question is still how fast.
Right.
However you start, it's how fast you like, okay, now open to everyone, no invitation, bigger area. When do they really fill up Austin with, 500, 2,000 or 3,000 cars, right, with
Exactly.
doing stuff? That's the
Exactly.
question. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so what else? I forgot. You had another, did you have another thing that was you were talking about?
Okay, so if you want to discuss any more of this, one more
Oh,
thing that I want to discuss, there's neural nets for Optimus are far larger than the one for their cars.
oh yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, what does
so
that mean?
then, well, AI 5 is kind of overkill technically for robotaxi.
Okay.
So AI 5 is supposed to be 10 times more. So you can have more memory and more compute on an AI 5, and you can still use AI 5 for both, because you're going to have extra inference,
I see.
um, on your robotaxi. So that doesn't necessarily change things. Um, and then I'm going to talk about what TSMC thinks about
Okay.
that
Yeah.
Optimus and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that is the next slide. But Dojo 2 comes out in 2026. So that's later than a previous statement from Elon Musk that I was uh, focusing on, where at the All-In Summit, like late last year, he said that Dojo 2 would be in volume production in the second half of 2025 or late in
Oh.
2025.
Hmm.
And now that's slipped over to 2026, if this is correct.
Right.
It'll be more efficient than Dojo 1, cheaper than comparable NVIDIA solutions. Not expected to be one-for-one competition to NVIDIA. So I was thinking it was going to be like, four or more chips to be competitive with the B200.
Hmm.
It'd be about an H100, a little bit better than H100 is my thinking of what it could be. Um, but it may need to have 10 to 1. Who knows how many you need to
I see.
have to be
I see.
competed with the B200. Dojo 3 now expected to come out into 2028. Previously, Elon did briefly mention that maybe that could come out late in 2026, maybe in low volume, but now it's, you know, not expecting 2028. Again, if this is correct.
Sure.
And then also they can narrow I think, performance gap is what they're talking about for application specific integrated circuits. I believe that tennis and compute requiring more cheaper chips could result in a major unlock. So, and I've said that 10xing your compute and making it generally useful is a major unlock. I've been saying that. Now Elon's
I see.
agreeing, telling analysts that that's the case.
Hmm.
That if so, the ASIC specific, the application specific integrated circuit means that you take a hardware chip that you can actually program the circuits on the hardware, so that you get performance advantage.
Hmm.
There's several startups working toward this.
Hmm.
Talus, etched semiconductor, that when you do that, you can get 200 times the performance.
Wow.
Right? So you can take, say, I have a transformer thing for my generative AI, and then I take that transformer algorithm and just make it into silicon. I know I'm not gonna change from large language model. I'm gonna keep doing that. So I take that into the silicon and get the 200 times boost.
Got it.
So if xAI and Tesla say there's these tasks, these little mini programs I need to run all the time, right? This particular formula, I can then hardware encode it, get the 200 times boost, and then it'll work. Because I know I'm always going to keep doing this. This is how I'm going to do things, right?
Right.
Versus NVIDIA saying, I need to handle a general solution because not everyone's going to do the same thing,
Right.
right? So if I know my problem set is this, then and my workload of like the thing that I'm running on my chips are my top 10 problems are these things.
Hmm.
Top five for
Hmm.
Tesla, top five for xAI.
Hmm.
I can focus up and say, I'm going to specialize my chip to do these things because I know this is what I need,
Right.
right? So this is a way for um, Tesla and xAI to get more bang for their buck by making specialized chips that do their problem. And then also use a mix of NVIDIA chips for the general problem of like a general speed up, right? So that they can close that gap. So the ASIC thing is something that I've been expecting. I've written stuff about that for the last year, saying that I'm expecting that to be a way for Tesla to say, I want to customize for myself, for xAI for Tesla. And the major unlock would be that some percentage of chips would go towards their own production, right? And if you can get to even 20% or 10%, that would be a step up. Currently, the Dojo 1, they have about 7 exapods, which was a big move. Like on that day when they announced Dojo 1, they said, hey, we can make, like 3,000 chips into 7 racks. That's what we call an exapod.
Right.
And that would be 1.2, exaflops of compute, which, everyone say, wow, that's so much compute. But now, we're at, like 400 exaflops or zettaflop of compute. So this 7 exaflops of compute is only a few percent, right? But if Dojo 2 is significantly better, 10 times better, and cheaper they talk about getting cheaper for than the competing NVIDIA solution, right? So the one B200 chip kicks butt, but it's $40,000. If I get 10 $2,000 chips that can do what a B200 does, then it only cost me $20,000.
Got it.
It's valuable for that. And then if xAI is they're raising $20 billion now. If they get to number 1 position, they could raise $100 billion, right? Go for $20 billion, $100 billion, $2 billion. That could be, if 20% of those chips end up being Dojo 2 chips, right? Then that's tens of billions of dollars of revenue for Tesla, saving money for xAI, giving money to Tesla. So
yeah,
that's why I can see it could be a major unlock.
Huge.
Right?
Yeah.
And also it controls their, if they don't have the limitation of how many chips they can make, or far more than they can make or get from NVIDIA, then Elon's goal of getting to a terawatt or a billion chips, that also becomes more achievable.